Hello and welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Plenty of Newcastle United content coming your way. Today's video is all about the big news to do with St James's Park, and it is one of 10 stadiums that has made it onto the list for the UK and Ireland bid for Euro 2028. It is in great company on the list. Let me first of all read through the other 9 stadiums that have also made it into the bid. You've got Wembley Stadium, the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the Etihad in Manchester, the Everton Stadium, which is yet to be built, St James's Park, as we see on that list. Then you have Villa Park, Hampden Park in Glasgow, the Aviva Stadium over in Dublin, and then the Casement Park in Belfast. So really exciting news for the Northeast, for Newcastle, for Newcastle United. Aaron, what have you made of that announcement?
Yeah, really positive to see that, Newcastle are one of the 10. Look, I mean, you just got to remember the Euros in 2020 and how excited we all got, and it wasn't even in Newcastle. So, yeah, really good to see that as part of the bid. Got to keep our fingers crossed now that they get it. But, yeah, I mean, what a spectacle it would be if they brought it up,
Yeah, and when you look at the names, the stadiums that aren't on the list, it's quite something. No Old Trafford for one. It shows you maybe just how far in decline Manchester United, their facilities have got, but also makes you think just what Newcastle and St James's Park could be with the right investment.
Yeah, and I think it's very interesting that this bid came out, or the news of the bid is the same week that we've all heard Amanda Staveley's comments about, what her plans are to do with the stadium. And look, I mean, that stadium has sort of been in decline for a number of years. Mike Ashley give it no love. The owners have came in and tried to change things with little tweaks. But look, in 5 years' time, when this tournament rolls around, we could have a completely different St James's Park.
Exactly, and that's where the excitement actually lies, is what it is right now there behind us. It is fantastic on match days. It is fantastic when you come across one of the several bridges and you see it perched above the city skyline. But it does need a bit of love and tender care, and Amanda Staveley has been open and honest about that. There have been, as you say, little tweaks, but we expect much more investment to come. They've bought Strawberry Place as well back, which means not just investment, but hopefully expansion. And Amanda Staveley was at a conference recently, and she did speak about St James's Park, and she said, "We love St James's Park. We luckily bought Strawberry Place, and we've been talking to architects about what we can actually do. We desperately need to invest in the stadium. It's just the most incredible place, but it needs to be fit for purpose. We create so much magic in the stadium every day, and every time there's a game on, Sky love coming. The broadcasters love it because they get real content. There's that sense of excitement that we have to build and deliver because a lot of people can visit St James's Park. On the other side, there needs to be significant investment into food and beverage. Literally every part of the business needs to be shaken up." That fills you with excitement, doesn't it, about what St James's Park will be in 5 years, especially when, hopefully Euro 2028 has been held right here in Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean, by the time that tournament rolls around, you could be looking at an entirely different stadium altogether. Yes, it'll be in the same location. Yes, it'll be St James's Park. It might have a new name by that point if they've sold off the rights to it. But, we could have a fan zone outside of it. We could potentially have the Gallagher being extended by that point. There's going to be a lot more corporate, food and drink places. I think they'll probably rip out a lot of that Easter's End and make that sort of a corporate hotspot. It could be completely different, but it's very good to see that, they're not just focused on making the training ground better. I mean, that stadium there, 52,000 fans. As you say, Sky have been there pretty much every week. I mean, they're on TV 16 games in a row. Very good to see that they aren't just planning on changing the training ground and that, determined to make that a much better facility as well.
But we are talking about hypotheticals because obviously there's been no plans. Amanda Staveley says they've spoken to architects, but obviously there's no actual plan in front of someone to say this is what it will look like by 2028. So what has persuaded the bidders who are going to put this forward to UEFA and say, right, St James's Park is one of those host stages? What do you think has persuaded them to put St James's Park forward? Because for all Amanda Staveley is talking to architects, there is a possibility, and it's a very small possibility, that actually nothing might change, and we might still be sat here in 5 years' time with St James's Park at 52,000 because maybe the expansion can't happen, or what, for whatever reason. So why have the bidders still said St James's Park is the place to be?
I think even though that stadium needs a good lick of paint and a lot of changes, it's still a tremendous stadium in this country. 52,000. It remains one of the biggest, and I think more than anything, probably more than it being St James's Park, is probably what they know what football needs in this region. They see it week in week out when fans are going to Newcastle and arguably Sunderland as well. Um, Bringing a European tournament to this part of the country will only be a good advert for football, I think.
Two stadiums that haven't even been built yet have made the list. You've got the one down on Merseyside, the Everton Stadium, which when finished will be 52,679. So again, we anticipate, hopefully, that by the time Euro 28 comes around, Newcastle might be, 65, 70,000, do you think? Because that's the other question, how big can they actually make St James's Park is, I suppose, the $1 million question. I'd be interested to know what those architects have said. And then you also have the Casement Park site in Belfast, which would be 34,500 when it is built. So quite something that them two stadiums have made on the list. Anfield, though, has not.
Yeah, I mean,
surprised at that?
Yeah, no Anfield, despite all the renovations they've had, no Old Trafford. Even the Stadium of Light, I think Newcastle fans probably won't agree, but I think Sunderland fans will probably be aggrieved given that, they've put on not just football events, but other events in the last couple of years there. So, a list of 10, you've got such competition. I think it's a real statement that they've put St James's Park on that list.
The FA said in a statement, high-capacity, world-famous football grounds and state-of-the-art new venues will provide the platform for the biggest and most commercially successful Euros ever, making us a low-risk, high-reward host. Now, the decision on who will host Euro 2028 is expected to be made by UEFA in September, with all work on potential host stadiums to begin by at least the summer of 2024, 4 years before the tournament, report the BBC. But lots of excitement on social media about this. How much, though, do you think part of it might be because, I know they've got one there up in Hampden Park who's going to be on the list, but obviously they'll probably have wanted a northern stadium on the list as well in England, so the Stadium of Light misses out. I don't even think the Riverside was considered. When you're looking at stadiums in the northeast, and this isn't a dig at Sunderland or their facilities, St James's Park is the northeast stadium, isn't it? It is the one that you would see out of the two I've just mentioned there. You would pick.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, even if you go further afield, you're looking at likes of Ellen Road, Bramall Lane. They don't compare St James's Park to them. I think the organisers will know that. As I said, I think what football means to people in this region will have gone a long way in putting Newcastle on that list. And yeah, absolutely. There's such a gap, as you say, from Glasgow down to Manchester, where the nearest stadium would be. I think it's the perfect in between St James's Park.
It's going to be very exciting to see the outcome. Some great news for Newcastle, the North East region, and fingers crossed that UK and Ireland's bid to host Euro 2028 goes through. This has been Everything's Black, my podcast on YouTube with me, Andrew Musgrove, and our Newcastle United editor, Aaron Stokes. Hit that subscribe button. Plenty more content coming your way.